Yeah, so with this drill press, they don't make a chuck that has this, a keyless chuck that has this collar on it here. So what I'm going to do is just take this apart and clean it up, and I ordered the chuck key. You can put a regular chuck on here, but there's a chance it'll fall off if you do that, so I'm going to use this one. Yeah, and how these chucks come apart is this outer piece gets pressed off of there. Yeah, I got the drill press completely taken apart. It's pretty easy to take these apart. And both of these pulleys, this groove is damaged here. And Clousing wants over $1,000 a piece for them. I think I'm going to have that welded up and remachined. I guess the previous owner always left it in one speed. It's only damaged right there. Both of them are like that. And these are the parts I already got cleaned up. And there's 5 bearings in this, plus 2 in the motor. I'm going to replace all of them. This one's bad. Yeah, I just got new bearings for this piece that I'm putting in. Yeah, so now I'm replacing the bearings on the motor. And the best way to get it off is with one of these pullers. Yeah, so I just got the new bearings for the motor. I'm going to put those on. And I'm also going to replace these 2 wires that go to the switch. The insulation's real hard on them. Yeah, so next I'm going to replace the wire going to the switch. And it's best to do this when this is all apart, because you got this little piece that goes on the inside in here that holds the 2 wires, and it'd be hard to get this on when it's all together. Yeah, and this is a 3-phase switch. That's why it has 6 terminals on it. They had the ground wire going to it, which doesn't need to go there. But somebody replaced the motor with a single-phase motor, so I just cut the ground wire off, and the ground wire just goes to the motor instead. Yeah, and it had these type of connectors on it. And I normally put these kind on it. Anytime where you can actually take these screws out, that's the better way of doing it. Yeah, and I also always like to solder these connectors on, then it can't come apart. Yeah, so I got the switch in and the new wire on it. And when you take these rings off that go around this pole, you got to be careful. On the 2 set screws, there's 2 little brass pieces. I almost lost them. Yeah, I got the pole all cleaned up. And what seems to take the rust off the best is I'd go over this with a wire wheel. And then I just use one of those Scotch-Brite pads. Yeah, I got that much of it back together. Yeah, I have to wait until I get some more parts before I can do any more. Yeah, I just got this Baldor Carbide tool grinder. Yeah, and it's in real good shape. I got this off Craigslist. And it's got this piece for dressing the wheel. And it's got a diamond wheel on the other side. And I think the only thing I'm going to do to this is build a cart to go under it where I can roll it around. And on this drill press, I'm having problems getting parts for it. They said, we can't sell you parts since you live in the state of California. And then they gave me some bullshit story about the sales tax. So they make you go through a dealer and pay twice as much for the parts. Yeah, I ordered 1 belt for this drill press. And then which I got it. A few days later, another one shows up. Yeah, so now I'm going to build a cart for that this grinder to go on. These wheels came from Harbor Freight, paint came from O'Reilly's, and that piece of 5/8 round bar came from Home Depot. Yeah, and here's the rest of the metal. Some of the stuff I'm not going to use. I just bought it because it was 50 cents a pound. Yeah, so I got the pieces cut out and I'm starting to weld this together. Yeah, I'm not making it very big so it'll roll through the small door on the other garage. Yeah, so I got it all welded together. The inside I'll probably TIG weld so it's real flat because where the plate is going to mount to. Okay, it's all welded up. Yeah, it would have looked better if I would have ground the mill scale off first, but you're really not going to see that anyways. Yeah, by TIG welding it, it's better because it's hard to get in there with a grinder to grind this flat, where this plate's going to sit in here. I welded these little pieces over the holes because I'm going to weld this on top. That's just to take up the gap there. This is pretty heavy, this grinder. Then I'm going to drill all the way through the whole thing. Yeah, I got that much done. Next I have to make the axle and put the two rear wheels on. Yeah, so I got it all done. Now all I got to do is paint it and bolt that on there. Yeah, and I just got these two pulleys, the keyway welded up and remachined. Yeah, I just got this brand new Jacobs 633C chuck off of eBay. It's a new old stock chuck. The new one they have that replaces this is not made here. And this is one of the original ones. Yeah, I just bought this Milwaukee grinder. And this is the model number. You can also buy this cheaper with just one battery, and the last number on the model number would just be a 1 instead of a 2. Yeah, and this grinder should go a long time on each battery. And I also got this impact, and it's the same way with the model number. You can buy it with just one battery. And these sell for about $400 a piece. Yeah, and both of these should run a long time on each battery because they have a brushless motor and they use a lot less power. Yeah, DeWalt doesn't make one yet with a brushless motor. That's why I went with Milwaukee. Yeah, and this impact is supposed to put out 1,100 foot-pounds of torque. Yeah, I got the stand done for the carbide tool grinder. And the only reason I welded these pieces on is this thing's real heavy, and if those cheap casters break, it's not going to fall over. Yeah, I also just got this metal cutting circular saw. And the actual model number is I don't know if you can see that or not, it's a 2682-22. That's the one that comes with 2 batteries. It doesn't come with as good of batteries as those other 2 things that I got. These are only 3 amp hour batteries. I also bought 2 extra blades. I got those real cheap on eBay. Yeah, it doesn't come with a regular carrying case, just this bag to put it in. Yeah, I just got one of these real small jump start boxes. I saw one customer and he was jump starting all of his cars with one. So I just had to buy one of these. It's much smaller than the great big one I have. Yeah, and this is made by a Shoemaker, and the model number is an SL1. Yeah, I also just bought a real video camera, so my video should get a lot better. What I have been using is 2 of these flip video cameras that I've had for many years. They don't make these anymore. And the problem is you can't zoom out far enough. In a lot of places I can't stand back far enough to get the whole thing in the video. So this video and the video of the lathe is still going to be done with the old cameras because I'm right in the middle of making these. Then after that, all of mine will be done with the real camera. Yeah, and from Enco, I just got a medium grit diamond wheel for the carbide tool grinder, because the one that's on it's a fine grit one. Okay, and for this drill press I finally got these 2 little keys. Yeah, it took 3 months to get these, and it cost $96 to buy 2 of those. And one of them I've already put inside of here. Yeah, some other company makes it for clousing, and that's why it took me 6 weeks before they'd even let me order it. So now I can start putting this back together. So then for this drill press I was able to get this retaining clip. They call these spiral lock retaining rings through a Granger. Yeah, and this is real easy to put this back together. There's just a set screw right here that holds the whole thing in. And I put a little bit of grease on these splines. and then this piece goes in here. And there's a collar that goes on the top, so that it can only go down so far. And here's how this works. Okay, some of these drill presses came with a hole drilled through the table, and that's what I'm going to do to this one. It's better for when you're drilling a long piece of a square tube all the way through, then you can lay it on there flat. And see, this table was actually made to have a coolant pump, which I'm never going to have on this. And I drilled an 1.1/8 hole through the table. It took out most of the holes where somebody else accidentally drilled into the table, the previous owner before. And that way you can run a 1-inch bit through there. They actually make a table that has holes, a hole already in it. A smaller table that goes on here. Yeah, but if you take a square tube and you're drilling through and you want to drill through the other side straight, and you put a piece of wood under it, it doesn't work very good. That's why it's better to have it where you can put it flat on the table. So what I'm going to do now is a little depth gauge indicator on here is missing. So I'm going to make one. Yeah, and here's what it looks like. Yeah, so I just made this little template up, and then I'm going to make it out of metal now. Yeah, so here's what it looks like on there. And to make that hole, I just drilled a round hole in it, and I used files to make it shaped like that. Yeah, I just got these brand new handles off of eBay. I've already put one on there, and I'm putting them on there with blue Loctite so they don't come loose. And the reason I'm replacing them is the original ones, 2 of them are stripped out, and one of them's the wrong one. It's got the ball's just pressed on here instead. Yeah, and this drill press is going to be replacing this one back here. This real old Craftsman. And by the looks of the motor and the Bakelite handles, it's probably from the 40s or 50s. Yeah, I bought this for $100 about 7 years ago, and it's still working. Yeah, it looks like I just got something from Keith Fenner. Must be that right roller kit. Yeah, here's part of the instructions and another sticker. And here's all the rest of it in this smaller box. Yeah, I just got one of these tachometers like the basement shop guy got. I just wanted to see how fast the drill press was going. I also bought this on the Snap-on truck today. It's a little light. Yeah, it's rechargeable, and it looks kind of like these kind from Harbor Freight, but it's much brighter, and it costs a lot more money. Yeah, I just got this set of sockets. This is for taking the 4-wheel drive hubs apart. And the part number is, there's the part number, 4543A, and it's OTC. And I also got these hose clamp pliers for doing a spring kind of hose clamps. Yeah, I just got this mag drill off of eBay. Came from a pawn shop on there, and it said used, but it doesn't look like it's ever even been used. I also bought a whole bunch of these different annular cutters, they're called. And I bought the regular drill chuck that goes on it also. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you out there have brake lines and field lines that even when you use these proper wrenches, it still won't come off. It just twists around there. Then you're stuck putting vice grips on it. Yeah, I just got these. This is some brand new tool that OTC came out with. Yeah, and that's the part number. Yeah, and these are vice grips that are designed for that, so it won't screw it up. There's 3 different sizes it comes with. Yeah, the smallest one you probably wouldn't need, but it even says what sizes it fits on each one of these. And I think I paid around $105 for the whole set. Yeah, so what I'm doing is making a bracket so I can mount this drum switch for the forward and reverse to the drill press. And it's just going to get welded onto these two spacers for the motor. Yeah, so I got the switch mounted on there. Yeah, it had to go back this far because it's got to clear this other handle. So now I'm going to wire it. And I'm going to use more of this flexible conduit, and I'm going to run it in this hole back here and then somehow up to that. Yeah, that's about the only way to, because there's too many wires in this box to get everything to fit in here right. Yeah, I got it working. I left these two wires long just to try it because those are the two wires to make the forward and reverse work right. If you got the switch wired backwards, the reverse is forward and the other way around, you can switch these two wires and it'll make it work right. And how this is wired, this is with a thermally protected motor with that circuit breaker. Yeah, and the P1 wire goes on the top left corner. The black hot wire goes to the top right corner. And the two middle ones are the T5 and T8. Those are the two you can swap around to make it the forward and reverse work the opposite. Then the bottom left corner has got T2 and T4 hooks to it. And the neutral hooks to the bottom right corner. And this is one of these type of switches. There's two different types of these switches. Yeah, and here's what it looks like with it all back together. Okay, the only thing left I want to do on here is I want to put some light on here. And there's a piece they make that raises and lowers the table. And I just saw another one of these drill presses on Craigslist for $350 with that piece on there. I was going to buy it, but it sold immediately. Because that piece on that raises and lowers the table usually goes for at least $300. Yeah, I just got this Milwaukee Skill Saw also. And the model number is a 2730-22, and that's the one that comes with two batteries. Yeah, I just got this long reach cutoff tool. It uses 4-inch grinding wheels with a 3/8 hole in the center. And this is made by a company called Dent Fix. And here's the model number. Yeah, I just got this Starrett level. The model number is a 98-12. Yeah, it said used, but it looks brand new. Yeah, I just got this square, and how this works is this is adjustable. You can move this piece and set it at any angle you want. And Alvarez Metalworks does a video on it. You can go check out his channel. Yeah, I just got these three things on Craigslist for $120. This grinder had never even been out of the box before. It was still glued shut. And this drill doesn't look like it's ever been used. I mean, this is a heavy-duty drill with a 5/8 chuck on it. The jigsaw has definitely been used before. Yeah, the title on the listing was not stolen. Yeah, I just got this off of eBay. It came from a guy in the UK. And what this is an arbor so you can put one of these annular cutters in the drill press. And also a drill bit goes through the center for a guide. Yeah, I just got this Milwaukee Bandsaw at a pawn shop for $135. And this thing's in real good condition. This is an older one that's made here. The new ones are imports. And now I have three of them. One of them I have is a brand new one. And I also got these Brown and Sharp squares. Yeah, I just got these two LED lights off of a website called OfferUp. It's like Craigslist. And here's the part number if you can see that. And I paid $35 a piece for these. On eBay they sell for like $50, and that's without any batteries or a charger. And here's how, yeah, they work pretty good. And you can also move this anywhere you want it. Yeah, I just got these 5C collet blocks. And I also got these 2 carts. These are from a bank. This one's still got the money tray in it. Yeah, the previous owners wanted to put the wood on there. I'm going to use these to put tools in it. Yeah, I took these cabinets and made shelves in them. And this one I put new wheels on it also. Yeah, I just got one of these magnets. Yeah, it looks like it was designed in the US, manufactured in China. And this is one that has 2 switches on it where you can turn either magnet on or off. Yeah, I just got this tool cart from Harbor Freight. It was on sale for $107, which is not bad. It's actually pretty good. And what I'm planning on doing with it is putting some basic tools in here, and then I can roll it up next to a car when I'm working on it to make things easier. Also got my very first Harbor Freight ratchet. I want to see how well these hold up. Yeah, I just made this rack to put these sockets on. And the set didn't come with 12mm, that's why there's one extra spot. Yeah, I just got some more stuff from Harbor Freight. What's odd about these Harbor Freight sockets is they don't come with a 15mm, and that's a common size. And I bought some of their socket trays, and then I cut them down to where they fit in here right. Everything in here I have a couple of times over in Craftsman and Snap-on. And like these Harbor Freight ratchets, these are just a copy of a Snap-on one, except it's got this quick release button that the Snap-on ones don't have. Yeah, I'm making another socket holder for all these sockets. This is just 1/4" plate, and I didn't measure all this out. All I did was just set the sockets on here, traced around it, and then center punched in the middle of them and drilled all these holes. Then it'll have a bunch of little pieces of round bars sticking up that go into the sockets. But there's different sizes. I'll have to buy a 1/4" and 1/2". Yeah, I also made this bracket to go on the side to hang the air hose on here. Yeah, I just got the socket holder finished. I just got to wait for the paint to dry, then I can put those on there. Yeah, and in here is all the basic stuff that I would use normally when I'm working on cars. And I've got it finished. And this is all just mostly cheap stuff, but it'll work. And everybody should have some of these bent needle nose pliers. They work great for pulling those plastic rivets out of cars. And here's something else everybody should have, is a vacuum gauge. Yeah, I just had an older car that I worked on, and the guy took it to a different mechanic first. And the guy couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And as soon as I hooked a vacuum gauge up to it, I knew right off there was a valve problem, and it ended up having a bad lifter. So you always got to check the basics first. Yeah, I got a few more things for the tool cart. Yeah, these gear wrenches were on sale, so I bought them. And I also got these. I like these for pulling oil filters off. And the reason for the WD-40 in here is anytime I'm going to take a car apart, first thing I do is spray the exhaust manifold bolts with WD-40, the ones where it attaches to the pipe. And most of the time they come apart without breaking the studs off. And here where I live, there is no snow or salt on the road. In other states, it probably won't come apart. Yeah, and here's another good thing to have is one of these long half-inch drive extensions. These are great for pulling transmissions out of rear-wheel drive cars. And what I do is I put one of these impact universal joints on the end of it, and then I can reach the bolts that are up on top real easy. Yeah, I just got this at Harbor Freight, and what this does is presses the bearings in on the axles on front-wheel drive cars. And there's the item number, if you can see that. Normally I take these apart and I put them in a regular press to do that, but sometimes I got to do this out in the field, and this will work to do that. Yeah, and I also made this paper towel holder here out of a piece of half-inch pipe and a piece of angle iron. And for the half-inch drive sockets, I only have metric impact sockets in here. And the reason is, I normally, for the half-inch drive, I only use the impact sockets because they're stronger. And the only time I use regular sockets is if I need ones that are real thin or 12 point. And I hardly ever need the SAE ones anymore. But for a 1/4 and 3/8 drive, I do have SAE sockets in here. But for the half-inch drive ones, you just rarely ever use them anymore. Yeah, I just got this little torch, and it's made by Power Probe. And the model number of that is PPMT. Yeah, see, this one works good. The one I had before was made by some other company. Even when you had it turned all the way up, it just barely had a tiny little flame on it, so it was no good. Yeah, and I just got these socket holders, and they have a magnet down inside. So you can pick this up and you can turn it upside down. And it also sticks to stuff. You can stick it to stuff upside down and the sockets don't fall out. And they're made by a company called Mechanics Time Saver. Yeah, I just got this, and what it does is it turns one of these portable bandsaws into a horizontal bandsaw. Yeah, I have 3 of these bandsaws, so I figured I might as well do one of them up like that. And the other one's back there in that stand. And I have one that I'm just going to use the regular way. Yeah, I just got these pliers from a company called Mercedes Source. They make these, and what they're for is pulling vacuum hoses and other hoses off that are hard to get to, and you can break it loose. And this biggest one, I think is for, I think it's the biggest one. It's for pulling those Mercedes spark plug wires off that are metal, have metal ends on that are real hard to get off. Yeah, I just had to buy another bandsaw for this stand. So now I have 4 of these bandsaws. What I didn't realize is it has to be this model number 6232. And the one bandsaw I had, it said that on the case, but inside it's got a different number and it wasn't right. And this is what it looks like when the bandsaw's in there. And also you can stand it up and use it like a vertical bandsaw. Yeah, this model bandsaw even has a light that comes on here. Yeah, so I'm going to try it out on some 2-inch square tube that's 1/8 inch thick. Yeah, it works real good, and just the weight of the bandsaw, that's all you have. You don't have to put any pressure down on it. Yeah, I just got a few more tools. Yeah, these sockets are made by Gear Wrench. And these are the 1/2 inch drive swivel impact sockets. And these are the metric ones. The SAE ones are still coming. And this is one of these 1/2 inch impact universals, but this one's different. Most of them have a pin going through it. This has like 4 places, so it should work better. And I also see a lot of people on making videos about these, so I just bought one to see how it works. And it's supposed to put out quite a bit of power. Yeah, and I still don't have the piece that raises and lowers the table for the drill press. And I think I'm just going to add that to another video because this video is getting too long. And I'm going to put a light on here and I'll show that in another video. And the lathe video is coming pretty soon too. It's almost done. These two projects took a lot longer than expected. That's why there hasn't been any videos in a long time. Yeah, and this thing you can either charge it through a cigarette lighter or a USB cable. I'm not sure if I said that in the video, but this video was filmed over about 10 months. So it looks like I went out and bought all this stuff all together, but it was over a long period of time.